The City of Stuart Community Development Block Grant Program, CDBG, is funded by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development and administered by FloridaCommerce, awarding funds to eligible cities, counties, towns, and villages in Florida to support community development projects. On the Hamilton's Historical Building Rehabilitation Project, this program includes, but not limited to, deliberate mismanagement and waste of federal funds, cover-ups and false statements. Shielded by qualified immunity, City Manager Mortel has been making fictitious statements, misrepresenting the Hamilton's Historical Building Rehabilitation Project and even the CDBG program since August 2024 at least. But on July 14, 2025, Mr. Mortel, abusing his qualified privilege, outdid himself, going beyond all bounds of decency.
We have to go out to RFP by procurement. That's the law. We don't get to just do these backroom kickbacks. That's what happened in this case in the first place. The Hamiltons thought they'd negotiated a deal that this contractor was also going to give them a free air conditioning system and free other stuff on top of the contract price. And when they didn't, that's when the Hamiltons objected to the windows.
City Manager Mortel, who is also a member of Florida Bar government attorney, made this egregious slander per se statement 8 months after he signed the check request from the CDBG fund to pay Patriot Response Group, despite the FloridaCommerce email stating that the work completed might not be eligible for reimbursement with federal funds. Almost a year ago, when the Hamiltons notified the City of Stuart about the damages inflicted to their historical building by Patriot Response Group, City Manager Mortel had no RFP at all.
In the CDBG grant arena, it's a federal program, and the City of Stuart isn't the one that gets to select or do any of the vetting process, so we actually didn't participate on that. We didn't have any RFPs or any criteria or any review authority at all.
Mr. Mortel was the city attorney when the city signed the subgrant agreement with FloridaCommerce, former DEO.
Do we exercise any supervisory control over the contractors?
Zero. Yeah, we don't get to pick who they are. We have absolutely no relationship to it at all. We don't get to prepare the form that the contractors would fill out to get on the list.
Thank you.
Yeah. Building inspector goes out and inspects it, but it's not related to the CDBG. If in fact there's a dispute between the homeowner and a contractor, that's a civil action that the city wouldn't have anything to do with.
Has Mr. Mortel been blatantly lying in contradiction of laws, rules, regulations, and policies on the grant administration specified in the subgrant agreement? Is it because
there is damage done to the home? We've removed the contractor from the project.
They put in 21 windows and the Hamiltons didn't object to one.
Another lie. The City of Stuart CDBG contractor Patriot Response Group didn't install 21 windows. Mr. Mortel has known that the Hamilton's historical building has 20 windows and Patriot Response Group installed only 17. 3 windows could not be installed at all due to their large size. Several windows are installed off-center. The first installation failed, and the reinstallation didn't pass the inspection. The Hamiltons objected to the windows due to the same reasons Specialty Engineering Services and Solutions stated in their report. In all cases where the windows were replaced, specifically the concerning the bucking and shim work, is considered poor workmanship, bordering on amateurish installation, harsh and true. This alone warrants complete replacement. These windows being wider than the originals, at 34, means the installers may have cut through the load-bearing king and trimmer studs. The diagram illustrates how the load from above is transferred to other load-bearing elements all the way from the top of the building to the ground. Keeping this principle in mind when looking at a historical building, and knowing that in the past the sill was a load-bearing member, calls into play those 1-inch by 4-inch modern sills installed improperly. All of the windows need to be removed and replaced with windows that are sized according to the original design. The framing at each window that requires it should be restored or reframed using specified and appropriate methods and materials for a building designated as historical. On May 13, 2025, Specialty Engineering Services and Solutions stated in their final report the same shoddy work and violations by Patriot Response Group. The Hamiltons have been complained about to the city and Guardian Community Resource Management, Inc., a firm contracted by the city to assist with the grant, since July 2024, but City Manager Mortel denied the city's responsibility to supervise the federally funded program, According to the Office of Inspector General, the cross-cutting frauds in community planning and development programs include but not limited to billing for expenses not incurred as part of the contract and for work that was never performed, substituting approved materials with unauthorized products, change order abuses, underbidding to win contract, and colluding with procurement officer to make up profits through unnecessary change orders, misrepresenting a project status to continue receiving government funds, billing more than one contract for the same work. On September 5, 2024, City Manager Mortel was coercing the Hamiltons to sign the contract voluntarily dissolution and the release of the CDBG funds to Patriot Response Group, and to use the rest of the CDBG funds to fix the shoddy work on the replacement windows by signing a contract with a new contractor as Guardian Community Resource Management, Inc., and CRA Director Ms. Gandhi-Savdas, who is also the CDBG project manager on the city's behalf, stated in their emails on August 15, 2024 and September 3, 2024, mentioning the liens that the contractor would have a legal right to impose should just due payment not be rendered. The Hamiltons filed their complaint with FloridaCommerce. On October 18, 2024, FloridaCommerce notified the city and Guardian Community Resource Management, Inc., that work completed did not appear to be compliant with the site-specific environmental review conditions that were issued for the project, and costs incurred to date might not be eligible for reimbursement with federal funds. FloridaCommerce requested the city to pursue additional consultation with the State Historic Preservation Office and also to coordinate with the contractor and provide an update regarding the contractor's intent and potential next steps. But, on November 4, 2024, Patriot Response Group filed a fraudulent lien before the State Historic Preservation Office completed the evaluation of the work done on the Hamilton's historical building. FloridaCommerce instructed the city to use city funding to pay Patriot Response Group to remove the lien from the Hamilton's property. On November 7, 2024, Ms. Gandhi-Savdas signed the document falsely stating contract voluntarily dissolved. Ms. Gandhi-Savdas released the payment for the amateurish installation of the 17 replacement windows, which all have to be removed, according to Specialty Engineering Services and Solutions, and to the State Historic Preservation Office. Ms. Gandhi-Savdas released the full amount for the roof without any deduction for the roof ridge vent system. Ms. Gandhi-Savdas knew the roof ridge vent system was included in the CDBG scope of work and wasn't installed. Anyway, Ms. Gandhi-Savdas released the payment for the work that was never performed. The payment to Patriot Response Group Ms. Gandhi-Savdas signed also included the changed order number 1 with the homeowner's forged signature and the work that wasn't inspected. On November 8, 2024, City Manager Mortel signed the check request from the CDBG Fund to pay Patriot Response Group. On November 22, 2024, the Florida State Historic Preservation Office issued the letter to the city and provided a copy to the Hamiltons. Ms. Gandhi-Savdas, the completed work does not conform to the Secretary of the Interior's standards for the treatment of historic properties and does not meet the conditions set forth by this office in our 2023 letter. Particularly, the replacement windows are larger and do not match the material or scale of the original. On November 22, 2024, the Hamilton learned that the city had the state letter with the guidelines on their historical church rehabilitation since December 1, 2023, before the work started on May 22, 2024. Even after the Hamiltons notified the City of Stuart CDBG Project Management that Patriot Response Group inflicted damages to the historical building, neither the city nor Guardian CRM disclosed the December 2023 State Historic Preservation Office letter to the Hamiltons. To pay Patriot Response Group using city funding as FloridaCommerce requested would require city commissioners' vote. On November 25, 2024, City Manager Mortel and CRA Director and CDBG Project Manager Ms. Gandhi-Savdas presented a different story to the city commissioners.
Once the lien was recorded, we were contacted by the state, and the state was directing us to pay, and we said we can't because your policies tell us we can't pay without the Hamilton signature. The state said in this circumstance, because of the lien and because of the circumstances, we're directing you to pay, and they authorized us to pay it without their signature.
The city is not being asked to expend additional funds.
No.
Is that correct?
Correct.
On November 26, 2024, FloridaCommerce wrote to the Hamiltons, FloridaCommerce does not consider the payment that was made to Patriot Response Group to be an eligible use of CDBG funds at this time. FloridaCommerce requested that the city use city funding to make payment and have the lien removed from your home. 8 months later, the very same matter comes in front of the commissioners to vote to allocate the city funding, and Mr. Mortel and Ms. Gandhi-Savdas again give deliberately misleading and even false information.
That's paid from our
It doesn't
the match,
matter.
right?
It does matter. The Small Cities CDBG Program is a competitive grant program that awards funds to units of local government. FloridaCommerce utilizes a competitive scoring process. Part 3 Sources and Uses of Non-CDBG Funds Instructions of the Small Cities CDBG Application for Funding Form SC60 states, points can be claimed for documented leveraged funds that were committed to the project by resolution or vote of the local governing body. The City of Stuart Commissioners adopted the resolution to transfer funds from the CRA fund balance to allocate for a matching contribution in the amount of $50,000 for the Community Development Block Grant Program application for housing rehabilitation activities. Mr. Mortel, as the city attorney, signed the resolution. The city claimed the points, but the uses of non-CDBG funds instructions also states, except for administrative and engineering costs, leverage funds shall only be expended on eligible activities for the program category that is being funded. To qualify for scoring, the leveraged activities must meet the LMI national objective. Shoddy, destructive, incomplete, and even fraudulent work is not in the CDBG eligible activities list.
So that's paid from the match. So there's still $60,000 balance remaining for them to use towards replacing the windows and other items that they requested.
The Hamiltons do not have $60,000 funds left. The Hamiltons had $80,000 allocated on their historical building rehabilitation, including the subordinate mortgage with the city, the lender of the CDBG funds. The city manager, Mr. Mortel, has known that the Hamiltons plan to use the rest of the $80,000 CDBG funds on the mini-split air conditioners, but Mr. Mortel made his slander per se statement. The Hamiltons applied for the City of Stuart CDBG in 2022. The City of Stuart and Guardian Community Resource Management, Inc. were vetting the contractors on the CDBG program. The work write-up, including all quantities and units of measure stated in the scope of work, were prepared by the City and Guardian CRM date, August 2023, and provided to the bidding contractors in advance. The bidding contractors had to verify all quantities and units of measure and report the discrepancies to the Housing Rehabilitation Specialist or Project Manager prior to the submission of bid. In September 2023, Guardian CRM brought the contractors to the Hamilton's historical building to inspect the building before bidding. On December 19, 2023, the City and Guardian CRM Inc. provided the Hamiltons with only 2 bids to choose from, reviewed by Antonio Jenkins of Guardian CRM Inc., reviewer, and he determined the lowest responsible bid was by Patriot Response Group. The scope of work included the roof and roof ridge vent system replacement, 20 replacement windows, 3 exterior doors, and attic insulation. The Hamiltons weren't even requested or allowed to approve the replacement windows. The City of Stuart also concealed from the Hamiltons the December 1, 2023 State Historic Preservation Letter stating, 311 Southwest 3rd Street appears to be potentially eligible for listing in the National Register of Historic Places. Replacement windows should match the old in material, design, scale, color, and finish. The Hamiltons, as the participants in the City of Stuart CDBG federally funded program, put their trust into the City and Guardian Community Resource Management and their vetted contractor. On July 16, 2024, the city's consultant Antonio Jenkins of Guardian CRM, a well-versed in the latest building standards and codes home inspector and contractor overseer, wrote to the Hamiltons, in general, contractors do not need permission to cut into a home when windows or doors being retrofit. The city's consultant interpretation of the building code is in contradiction to the Specialty Engineering Services and Solutions report. Clearly, on opening number 4, the double buck and excessive shim are not typical. They always require an engineer's letter and local building department approval. Even a simple single 2-inch wide buck may require an engineer's letter. See Figure 76. The note that states wood framing or 2-inch wide buck by others is a nod to the engineer's letter. The letter is required to determine the anchoring of the bucks for this specific location, as required by the wind loads dictated by code under ASE 722. The Hamiltons notified the City Building Department, CRA Director and CDBG Project Manager Ms. Gandhi-Savdas, City Manager Mortel and City Commissioners that Patriot Response Group didn't submit the CDBG scope of work. To the City Building Department, the contractor uttered the falsely notarized notice of commencement to the Martin County Clerk of Court and to the City Building Department. The contractor didn't submit structural plans to alter the building's exterior load-bearing walls. The contractor filed the wrong floor plan and altered the path of egress. The contractor didn't submit any specification on the hurricane ties and performed shoddy installation of the wrong hurricane ties without the buildings department approval. Under the city manager's powers and duties, the building department didn't issue any citation to Patriot Response Group. Instead, city manager Mortel denied the Hamiltons' requests for re-inspections. As of the city commissioners' meeting's date, July 14, 2024, the Hamiltons have been left with a $57,330 subordinate mortgage, incomplete, destructive, fraudulent work, fraudulent and negligent documents, and the damages after City Manager Mortel signed the check request to pay Patriot Response Group with the CDBG funds. And City CRA Director Gandhi-Savdas is talking about using $60,000 of the CDBG funds, which the Hamiltons do not have, to pay again for the replacement windows and fixing improperly installed fascia and subfascia, and the roof ridge vent system? And who is paying for the damages such as restoration of the 4 inches of the historical wall, the ripped paint, the historical sills? These damages are not incurred as part of the contract and are not eligible activity to be paid for with the CDBG funds, including matching funds. Federally funded programs are matters of public concern. Visit the Hamiltons' website aroundabout.us for more information, documents, and correspondence. Follow the Hamilton CDBG Project, Stuart, Florida Facebook page for updates.